Hello and welcome to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. This is your host Ashley from Ashley Taylor Wellness. On this podcast, we talk about all things beauty, health, wellness, and optimization. Being a high maintenance hippie represents not being boxed in, as I strongly believe that one size does not fit all. I'm a nurse turned coach, and I have learned so much about both conventional and alternative options, and I want to help you expand your options. I'm here to inspire you to learn new ways to improve your quality of life and to take your power back. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Citrine is my favorite one-stop shop for all things clean, skincare, and beauty. I'm so grateful to have found this store because it's truly a high maintenance hippie's dream store. It can be really overwhelming making swaps. I started doing this in 2016. There were so many options, and yeah, there were some products that had fewer toxins, but they didn't exactly work. So I love this store because the owner, Melissa, has curated the best of the best. Many lines that I was already using. Agent Nature is a great example. Tata Harper. So once again, you can go into the store, Citrine. The code will actually work if you mention it in person, Ashley Taylor Wellness. You can go to their website, citrinenaturalskin.com. Use the code Ashley Taylor Wellness to save 10% off. And I look forward to sharing more of my favorites. This store is amazing, and I couldn't think of a better company to help support the podcast because it is everything high maintenance hippie, and I absolutely love it. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. I'm Ashley, your host. So thank you for being here. I am having a really big day today in a good way. Today's Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. So in the next 30 minutes, I'll be leaving for the airport, and I'm flying to LA to do a pre-nouveau scan. That is an MRI, and you could compare it to other types of scans like a CT scan or something that has a lot of radiation. This does not. But I'm going to look at my entire body, and it looks for over 500 cancers. Someone found an aneurysm on there that they weren't seeing otherwise. Just a lot of things, taking a deep dive into the body. One of my clients did this and showed me her results, and I was blown away. So I always love to see what's happening inside of my body, but in the event that something is wrong, I look at it once again as a message from my body, and I would treat it in more alternative ways, and I would take you on that journey with me. Something that I have been doing for this swollen lymph node in my right groin, though, is vaginal ozone insufflation. I'm doing that at home. And one size doesn't fit all, so I'm not telling you to go out and do that. I'm just sharing my experience. But in 4 treatments, that lymph node is half the size that it was when I started. And it's pretty amazing. I have also noticed that there is some drainage that has come out vaginally, and the lymph node is smaller. So we'll see what's going on there. I will be an open book and share about this stuff because I want to let people know about options that exist in the Western world and Eastern medicine, alternative medicine, which has been around for a lot longer than I think some of us realize. And I like to bridge the gap. There's a time and a place for both. But I also wanted to talk about the age-old question of, does money buy happiness? And this is such an important topic. I'm extremely stubborn. I love nice things and a life of luxury. The podcast is called the High Maintenance Hippie Podcast. So I make no apologies for wanting nice things, but let me just tell you, those things can be taken from you like that. People say all the time, money comes and money goes. And if you think that, just like I did, that, once I make a certain amount of money, or once I have a respectable career, or once I have a certain partner, then I will feel happy, it's a trap. And I say this because 2017, 2018, that's when I was sick and dealing with health challenges. But in 2019, I was over that. I got my quality of life back, and I had a partner that was very generous, and I didn't have to work, although I wanted to, because in the end of 2018 and 2019, I'm taking all these trips, doing all these things, and yeah, it was great, but without a sense of purpose, I felt so lost. I couldn't enjoy it. So I'm in this $2 million house, driving whatever car I wanted. I could have whatever tangible possessions I wanted, and I'm alone and I'm miserable. So then I couldn't blame it on money anymore. And another example would be cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery, whatever you want to call it. I thought if I look a certain way, then I will feel at peace with myself. That was also a trap. And there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. So does money buy happiness? My answer is no. But what it does buy is freedom. It buys options. And unfortunately, a lot of the things that have helped me in my health and to live my best quality of life are not covered by insurance. And so those things cost money. But that's why it's kind of nuanced. But if you live in poverty, which is why I was a big advocate for people working in 2020, if that was the right choice for them and their families, then we know that poverty is very highly correlated to poor health outcomes. So once we make a certain point past that, more money does not bring happiness. We need to be able to provide for ourselves, our families, and our loved ones. It's a lot of pressure, more money, more problems. I mean, in many ways that's true. And I know a lot of people who make money, but that does not necessarily mean that they manage it well. So I think regardless of the amount of money that you have, I've learned to live within my means. And that was a reality check that I had to have. And knowing that these things can come and go. If you're waiting on something external to make you happy, then it's always something that can be taken from you. Which leads me to, okay, so happiness is an inside job. I almost say that you can hear, I don't know if you can hear it, but like the eye roll in my voice. Happiness is an inside job. If one more person told me that, I was going to lose my marbles. I did not know how to source that from within. I didn't even know what that meant. So for me, having a sense of purpose is what's really important. And I love the saying, I don't know if someone else came up with this, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but work hard, play harder, and rest hardest. So if you're just working all the time, and maybe that is where you get your sense of purpose because you love the work that you're doing, that's great. But you have to be able to play and have joy in your life. And also, do you have enough time to rest? I'm a monster if I don't have enough alone time and enough sleep. I worked night shift for years, never again. I don't even do well with jet lag. So, okay, sourcing happiness from within. I've learned that that has a lot to do with the quality of our relationships. And sometimes it's better to be by ourselves than to be around people that bring us down. And that doesn't mean people can't disagree with us. But I love the saying, which I won't take credit for either. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. So are the people in your life building you up, supporting your dreams, lovingly calling you out on your bullshit? And there's a way to do that with respect. But I think when I was younger, I believed that fun took away from my happiness. I did. And I now see that as part of not only a great quality of life, but part of my health. And as I did my functional medicine coaching training, the 5 pillars are sleep and restoration, exercise and movement, nutrition, which I would also reframe to nourishment, which a lot of that comes from light and what we're consuming. So that could be positively impacting us or negatively impacting us. Stress, which I would also include toxins in that category of stress and stressors, and relationships. So we really want to look at all the parts of our lives. And a lot of people say that they want to live a life of balance. I don't know that you're ever going to be perfectly in balance, but what I have found to be helpful is nurturing the imbalances. So when my life was, okay, getting the degree, getting the job, making the money, I neglected some of the most important parts of my life, which were, mitigating stress and having healthy relationships. So once again, these relationships can be beneficial or they can be really holding us back. And so much of having our best quality of life isn't just what we're doing, it's what we're willing to let go of. And it doesn't have to be some dramatic fallout. Sometimes we just outgrow people and sometimes we come back together on a similar path, but it's okay to outgrow relationships. It's okay to enjoy the time that you had with someone and to realize that you just want different things, whether that's a friendship, a romantic relationship, and love is not control. So in 2020, there were a lot of people that shared very different opinions from me, and my stance was always do what's right for you. I'm very opinionated on what's going to work for me. I'm responsible for the consequences of my choices. So if I stay up late drinking, I'm responsible for that. And that's not something that I do. I did back in the day. But, just going back to this question of does money buy happiness? Without enough for our basic needs, we are going to struggle. And I also think that if you're doing a job that you hate and you wake up every day and you just feel this immense sense of dread, that's going to affect your health in all these other areas. So how can you be happy and live a great quality of life if your health is struggling? But sometimes we work careers that allow us to have the resources to do the things that we love. So it's really about looking at all these different factors. So sourcing happiness from within. For me, that has come from owning and accepting all of who I am, even the messy parts, and I'll be sharing a lot about that. Because when you can take your shameful, painful moments and turn it into a lesson or a story, not only does that free you, but it shows other people we all make mistakes. And I thought people would judge me for the things that I did in my past that I don't love, but I was really judging myself. So the view that we have of ourselves is so important. Also, a sense of purpose. I liked what I was doing in the hospital, but I didn't love it because I knew there was more I could be doing. So I pivoted and, I tried to be grateful for the things that I could that I was doing working in the hospital. And there is a lot of good that we can do. I think the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a person's well-being are not always prioritized. And I get it. You're bleeding out. We want to stabilize the person physically. But what about those other areas of a person? So when we look at all of who we are, when we make peace on the inside with who we are, we forgive ourselves and others because we've done the best that we could up until this point. And once you know better, do better. Judgment is another thing that is going to get in the way of our own happiness because happy people do not go around trashing other people. And so whenever I get someone online that's really negative, I had people say all sorts of things to me. I just think about it like, who is having a great day and they're like, you know what, I'm going to take you down today. I certainly don't care to spend my happy days doing that. So having a sense of purpose, having great relationships, including the relationship with ourselves, those are the things that make life rich. And it doesn't mean you can't go on great trips and celebrate, but if it's all play and there's no work, I found that it didn't bring me happiness. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. I know this is short and sweet, but it's a trap. It's a trap anytime that we are waiting for something external to make us feel a certain way. It doesn't mean that we can't rely on other people. It doesn't mean that it's wrong to want money or nice things. But once again, relationships come and go. Things come and go. Money comes and goes. Jobs come and go. So where are you sourcing your peace from? And to source it from within, I'd laugh at myself 10 years ago. I didn't have a relationship with God. I thought it was I didn't believe in it. But when I was 28, I hit such a rock bottom emotionally. I was so isolated. I was a travel nurse, exhausted from night shift. And I prayed and I said, God, I know that you won't give us more than we can handle. And I honestly don't know how much more I can handle. If you're truly here, show me. And it kind of makes me emotional because the things that happened, once I started to ask for that guidance, everything changed. So if you're not sure what the next steps are, yes, you can have a coach or a guide or someone to mentor you. And that is powerful, a reflection, feedback, and just tangible steps. But also, are you utilizing, a higher power to guide you? And if you're surrounded by chaos and noise and distractions, it's really hard to hear the subtle guidance that comes. And I love the saying that prayer is when we talk to God and meditation is where God talks to us. So are you slowing down enough, I have to ask myself this too, to really get that messaging and that feedback about what the right steps are? And sometimes the answer is not always easy. It's really hard to let go of things that don't serve us. But by doing so, we can just live a life that's more aligned with the best version of ourselves. And I have found happiness from overcoming so many things that I've been ashamed and embarrassed about, using that to inspire other people so they're like, hey, I can also have done things that I'm not proud of and forgiven myself for that, and I don't have to be who I've always been. Yes. And that's really my message for you today. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can share on Instagram and I'll repost it. But where do you think happiness comes from? Do you think that money buys happiness? Or do you agree that it also would buy freedom and options, but that true happiness needs to come from within? And if you have a way that you source your happiness from within, I'd love to hear what that is. And one more thing about beauty, I say all the time, you can decorate your meat suit, your shell, but I actually think true beauty comes from the eyes. You can look, some people, when I was taking Adderall, I'm not judging you if you take it, but I look at old photos of myself and I'm like, no one was home. No one was home. I was just kind of like going through the motions every day. So once I started to detox, not just on a physical level, but a lot of areas in my life, it's like I came back to my soul. And that inner radiance and that kindness that we have towards others and ourselves is truly where happiness comes from, and living a life of purpose. So I hope that this gave you something to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and have a great day. I'm heading to the airport now, and I can't wait to share about the Pre-Nouveau scan with you all. Citrine is my favorite one-stop shop for all things clean, skincare, and beauty. I'm so grateful to have found this store because it's truly a high maintenance hippie's dream store. It can be really overwhelming making swaps. I started doing this in 2016. There were so many options, and yeah, there were some products that had fewer toxins, but they didn't exactly work. So I love this store because the owner, Melissa, has curated the best of the best. Many lines that I was already using. Agent Nature is a great example. Tata Harper, Kypris, and today I'm going to share about one of my favorites. But if you go to Citrine, you can shop online and you save 10% with the code ashleytaylorwellness. Normally, you only get 10% off on your first order, but they have been so generous and you can apply that to multiple orders. The only brands where this is not applicable is Vintner's Daughter, TheraBody, they also make the TheraFace tool, and Kypris Beauty. Everything else you get 10% off, and it's incredible. So one of my favorites that I want to share with you is InnerSense. It's a line of hair care products, and I use their shampoo. I'm a blonde, so I love their Bright Balance Hair Bath. It's a purple shampoo, a much lower tox alternative to the other ones that I was using. They have a hydrating cream conditioner. I also use this, but since I only wash my hair once a week, if I'm keeping it real, I love the InnerSense hydrating hair mask. My hair feels like silk after having this on. You keep it on about 5 to 10 minutes. So I'll wash my hair in the very beginning, put this on, and then use a shower cap and just let it soak. It's incredible. And then when I get out of the shower, there is a Hair Love prep spray that I use to protect my hair from heat. And since I'm getting ready to travel today, I also wanted to mention the Hydrate Travel Trio. So this has some products that you can fit in your airport bag so that TSA is not going to jack it from you. And I love it. So it's a hydrating cream hair bath, hydrating cream conditioner, and Sweet Spirit leave-in conditioner. InnerSense is a line that I've been using, and I use hair extensions. They've lasted up to a year, which is pretty much unheard of. So really love these products, and I wanted to share that with you as one of my favorites. So once again, you can go into the store, Citrine. The code will actually work if you mention it in person, Ashley Taylor Wellness. You can go to their website, citrinenaturalskin.com. Use the code Ashley Taylor Wellness to save 10% off. And I look forward to sharing more of my favorites. This store is amazing, and I couldn't think of a better company to help support the podcast because it is everything high maintenance hippie, and I absolutely love it. Thank you for listening to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, rate it, and leave a review, ideally a 5-star review if you loved it. All of this is free of charge and really helps me to be able to run the podcast. If you take a screenshot and tag me, I'll repost you and shout you out on Instagram. So tag Ashley Taylor Wellness and High Maintenance Hippie Podcast. If you have any feedback or guests that you'd like to have, I would love to hear from you so that I'm not just talking at you. I really want to deliver things that are valuable. So send me an email with any feedback, suggestions, or ideas for guests at ashley@ashleytaylorwellness.com. And I will leave you with a disclaimer. Please know that this is not medical advice or replacement for seeking medical care. Everything discussed on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Always consult with your medical provider before making any changes. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.